Good evening. Welcome to Lewiston City Council regular meeting of Monday, July 28th, 2014. We'll call this meeting to order. Our first order of business is the Pledge of Allegiance. Please join me in the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Next up on the agenda is citizen comments. This is an opportunity for citizens to address the council on agenda items or other items they wish to bring to the attention of the council. Citizens are encouraged to discuss operation issues in advance with the city manager. In consideration of others wishing to speak, please limit your remarks to 3 minutes. Do we have any citizen comments tonight?
Mike Lorenz, 458 Crestline Circle Drive. I got a couple items I'd like to talk about. I guess the first one is what happened at the city council meeting earlier this month when Clinton Daniels was asking some questions about to the community development director, and I guess obviously she did not want to answer the rest of the questions, and she just kind of walked off without finishing the statement. And I think not only was that pretty disrespectful, I think she probably owes Councilman Daniels an apology. I think that was a pretty poor taste. She is a public employee that is, employed by the taxpayers of the city of Lewiston. Second, I guess, it seems like now we're talking about raising our property tax anywhere up to 4.8%. I'm sure there's some of you that could really care less, but there's some issues here that I think we really need to look at. And one of them is this car allowance that we spend $14,400 a year for car payments for department heads. And I don't know, I said, all these jobs pay $100,000 a year or better. And I feel like, they can get themselves to work without me making a car payment for them. The second one is another favorite of mine, it's cell phone usage for the city employees. This thing's grown to $60,845 and some odd cents, up from about $54,000 earlier this year. And it seems like you got this contract you guys are stumbling over, and it seems like you need to be, pay a stipend to the city employees and say you can go pick your own cell phone plan out, do whatever you want, and we'll pay you 20 or 30 bucks a month, because I'd be willing to bet that probably 90 or 95% of those are all personal calls. And it's like, this is taxpayers' money. It doesn't seem like a huge amount, $70-some thousand, but, it is their money. And from what I can see, you guys have not been very good stewards of it. We got, the street department, Public Works, they're having a tough time because we kept stealing money from them and everything else. And so you're just going to keep raising the property tax, and it's just like this URA thing. You got $600,000 you could return to the coffers. You can close those things. You can open them up without any big trouble. So I guess the taxpayers get kind of reamed because you're going to raise our property tax. You aren't going to take that $600,000, put it back in the city coffers where we can fix our streets or whatever else we need to do. And I think you're going to, and if you don't do something like that, we're just going to keep getting further and further in the hole. I think there's some of those urban renewal projects are a good, worthwhile project, but I really don't consider a food processing plant that's been known it will never make a go of it. I said, I really don't need to give Vandenberg $2 million of my tax money. You might as well give me some money and I go finish paving my driveway. If this is the kind of mentality you people have. I said, they didn't borrow any money the first time, and I believe Mr. Rendell said that was not even supposed to happen, any taxpayers' money going into finishing this road. And when I talked to, some of the involved parties about, well, who's going to fix Gun Club Road? The response was, well, we'll worry about it later. Well, sure, they're going to worry about it later because you can bet, the parties involved in that aren't going to kick in one dime to rebuild Gun Club Road. But yet you guys are hell-bent for election to give these people $2 million. It's taxpayers' money. It's not an ATM machine out there, boys and girls. It is taxpayers' money, and there's a lot of people in this town that do enough to get by, Now I know, Maldonado, you don't, as far as I know, you don't own any property or whatever, so you sit there and raise taxes on me, and people like me, I said, what gives with that? I mean, you got to be good stewards of these people's money and just not go nilly-willy and throwing it away just because it sounds like, the big boys, this is what they want to do. The majority of the people in this town work hard for their money. And I think it kind of behooves this council just to adopt whatever, the URA says. Because, like I said, there are some good projects in there, but there are some that are really, I don't know, kind of a golden fleece or something that I don't really need to be spending our money in. We need to put this money back into the city and county coffers so we do have some money to operate on. Thank you.
Thank you.
John Michael, 1448 8th Street, Lewiston, Idaho. I'm a little concerned also about the URA. I've written some notes here. I wanted to be at that last meeting, but was unable to. And you folks might, this is on a side note, you might want to look at making sure all the public can attend all your meetings. This is a private space here at the college, and I had a little dust up with them. We've got it cleared up. And I don't know if my what I have to say would change your minds and how the vote go, but it might have. It might have. I grew a little suspicious of the Urban Renewal Association when they forwarded Brad Cannon's name to fill an at-large position when they already had two perfectly qualified candidates with applications on the shelf. I applaud the council for being alert enough to see that Cannon didn't get on. Recently, I've been taken aback by the URAs and I wish Bob was here to hear this, Bob Blakely's cavalier attitude. After manipulating and glad-handing enough to get the council to hand them over all that taxpayer money, they're acting like it's theirs by manifest destiny. They're wanting to punish and silence all critics and criticism. Blakey actually tried to have County Commissioner Doug Havens voted off the association. That's something that's so far out of the scope of what's possible. It makes me wonder if Blakey is concerned about anything other than his own power and letting city elites know he's on their side. Havens sits on the URA at the pleasure of the County Commissioner and the Lewiston City Council. And he makes some great points in that this URA, why not make them elected officials? They're dealing with a lot of money, and I think since you folks aren't willing to look out for the taxpayers that elected you, make it an elected position. I agree with that. And I also suggest the council might want to consider recalling Bob Blakely from the URA and appoint someone who actually gives a rip about the taxpayers. My other concern is the Lewiston Morning Tribune has been acting like an advertising agency for the URA because their owner, Butch Alford, is on the URA board. Every really good points Councilman Johnson and Daniels made against the URA never made it in the paper. So in my mind, the general public has not been informed correctly on this issue. Thirdly, as a first act of new business, URA wants to hand over $2 million to Joe and Mike McCann to build a road on their own private property. And it's ironic because the McCanns have the city tied up in a lawsuit since 2006. That doesn't make sense to me. The McCanns are some of the deepest pockets in the valley. If you're hell-bent on handing them a bunch of cash, ask them to drop the lawsuit and pay the city's attorney's fees for having to fight the thing in the first place. And then maybe consider putting in some curbs for them or something, not the whole road. The biggest problem with the URA is it hands out money based on the good old boy system. In other words, it's who you know. And sometimes it benefits the city, but generally it goes to line the pockets of people that already have a lot of money. And I don't like that. And it's not best for what's the city of Lewiston. On another point, I've been walking around town and lawns are drying up all over Normal Hill because folks can't afford to pay the water prices you're charging them. And I think you could do something like that and team up with the orchards and make sure people don't have to pay so much for that kind of thing. You folks are, you're elected to serve us all, not just the power players in this town. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other citizen comments this evening? Okay, seeing none, we'll move on to the consent agenda.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, Council Randall.
I'd like to move item C to the active agenda.
Okay, item C, ordinance 4606 will become item E on the active agenda. Any other things? I will disclose that one of the item E, the bid award for 18th Avenue pedestrian ADA and bike improvement project. I was formerly employed by Cray Construction, but I have not worked for them since the beginning of the year, and I was not involved in any of the bidding procedures, so we have it. Anything else? Okay, all those in favor of reading the consent agenda as amended?
Aye.
Or, I'm sorry, do we have a motion to
Motion.
read?
All right. I'll
Consent.
make a motion to
Okay.
read the consent agenda.
Got a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 6-0 with Councilor Blakey absent.
Approving the minutes of the July 7th, 2014 work session, July 14th, 2014 budget work session, and the July 14th, 2014 regular meeting. Accepting the minutes of the May 1 and June 5th, 2014 Historic Preservation Commission and the April 30th and May 21st, 2014 Planning and Zoning Commission. Approving the second reading of ordinance 4606 by title only. An ordinance implementing the City Council's decision. Oh, I apologize, that one was pulled. I'm skipping that one. Approving the second reading of ordinance 4610 by title only. An ordinance of the City of Lewiston repealing Lewiston City Code, Section 24-3, and providing an effective date. Accepting the bid proposal for the 18th Avenue pedestrian, ADA, and bike improvement project from Cray Construction of Lewiston, Idaho, in the amount of $603,848.50 for the base bid and alternate one. Approving Resolution 2014-44 by title only. A resolution approving a state-local agreement between the City of Lewiston and Idaho Municipal Corporation and the Idaho Transportation Department for the improvement costs associated with the conversion from protective, permissive left turn signals to flashing yellow arrows at Thane Grade and Bryden Avenue, authorizing and directing the mayor and city clerk to execute and attest respectively said agreement and providing an effective date. Approving the administrative plat with staff recommended conditions for the Esperanza Hills 2, Block 4 administrative plat. And approving the vouchers payable for July 4th, 2014 through July 17th, 2014 in the amount of $1,502,843.53.
Okay, councilors, the consent agenda's been read. I'll accept a motion to approve the consent agenda as read.
Second.
Okay, motion's been made and second. Any discussion? Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 6-0. Okay, next up, on the active agenda, first item is a bid award for aluminum sulfate. I'm going to turn this over to Mayor Pro Tem Johnson, and I will recuse myself from the vote on this due to a relationship with one of the bidders, so.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So the bid award for the aluminum sulfate, Mr. Bennett.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. This is one of the bids awards that are on the council's agenda tonight. This is for our aluminum sulfate purchase for the year. In this particular case, the recommended bidder is Thatcher Company of Montana, Salt Lake City, Utah, for the amount of $326 per dry ton. Thatcher was not the low bid. However, the three low bids that were received for this project were disqualified because they failed to meet the minimum requirement of reduced iron content of 15 parts per million. So the recommendation is that the council go with the award from Thatcher Company of Montana.
Thank you. I'd entertain a motion to approve the bid award for aluminum sulfate purchase to the Thatcher Company of Montana.
So moved.
Second?
It's been moved and seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries 5-0 with Mayor Kleberg recusing himself and Councilor Blakey abstaining. I'll turn it back over to Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Pro Tem. Next up is the bid award, South Shore Pump Station upgrades, accepting the bid proposal of Shannon Industrial Contractors, Inc. of Coeur d'Alene, Idaho, in the amount of $167,553. Entertain a motion to approve the bid award.
So moved.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 6-0. Next up, Resolution 2014-46. This is approving an agreement between the city and AEI Engineering for the provision of engineering services at the wastewater treatment plant. Entertain a motion to approve the agreement.
So moved.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. Is there any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 6-0. Next item, Resolution 2014-47. This is an approving agreement between the city and Keller Associates, Inc. for the provision of professional services relating to the update of the master plan for the wastewater treatment plant. I'll entertain a motion to approve Resolution 2014-47.
So moved.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries 6-0. And the next item will be item E, ordinance 4606 for the second reading. I'll I'd accept a motion to have the second reading of ordinance 4606.
So moved. Second.
Okay, motion's been made and seconded. Discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
Nay.
Okay, motion carries 5-1 to read ordinance 4606 for the second time.
Approving the second reading of ordinance 4606 by title only. An ordinance implementing the City Council's decision in ZC 0114, declaring that certain real property be removed from the Normal Hill NHN zone and included in local commercial C1 zone, and that the comprehensive plan be amended to redesignate that certain real property from high-density residential to commercial, and amending the official zoning map of the City of Lewiston and providing an effective date.
Okay, councilors, ordinance, I guess we won't vote on it. That was just second reading, correct? Okay. Okay, well, guess we'll move on to unfinished and new business. City councilor comments. Do we have any city councilor comments this evening?
I have a few comments. I noticed that we've been repairing a lot of our streets, and especially up in the Orchards area. And I've received some, in the past, some complaints from citizens. I know we can't control what Lloyd does, but I think it would be in our best interest to try to open up the doors of communication and make sure that Lloyd doesn't go through and chew up the streets in the Orchards after we've just recently seal coated them. Secondly, I'd also like to bring up, I'm sure we all received a letter here from the Idaho Second Amendment Alliance, and it's in regards to the new preemption law that the legislature passed regarding the Second Amendment. And it talks about cleaning up our city code to make it, to align it more with the preemption law. And I'd like to ask our city attorney to review that and see if they specifically mention one area in the code that could be cleaned up, and they recommend taking a look at Caldwell's Idaho Code 82125. And that's all I have. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Anybody else? Just kind of on a personal note, the weather's hot, obviously. And just want to remind people about kids, dogs and vehicles, things like that. But the other one kind of hits close to home is I do quite a bit of rafting this time of year. And obviously you can see the number of people that are down on the river, recreating, swimming, hanging out on the beaches and stuff like that. And the one thing that just really, really bothers me is children, not necessarily unattended, but children down near the water's edge without life jackets. I can't stress how important it is for people to keep an eye on little kids, whether they're in an inner tube or they're standing on the beach. Please get a life jacket on them. You know, just prevent one unnecessary tragedy. The salmon's already claimed 5 people this year, so it's nothing to mess around with. The water is not as warm as you think once you've been in there for a while. So, anyways, that's all I've got. City manager comments? Mr. Bennett?
Any other councilor
I don't
comments?
know, they're all looking at me.
Okay.
Okay.
Yes, today, we, and you should have a copy of this, we put out the City of Lewiston Citizen Guide to the Budget. This is our publication annually that's used to inform members of the public about the budget process and what's being proposed in the current budget for fiscal year 2014-2015. So these are available and will be available to the public on Wednesday. We'll have a stack of them at the library. We'll have many of them at City Hall. It will be on the city's website, and we'll have additional copies that will be available if we should run out. We made about 125 copies, so that's a good, easy to follow primer for citizens to learn about how their budget works and what's being proposed this year. I also got a letter today from Ray Rosh. Some of you may know Ray, local resident in Lewiston, and he had some nice things to say about our crack sealing program that's going on right now. We've since switched to a new product, which he thinks is going to be a lot better and last a lot longer than the ones we previously been using. We've been doing some work on weekends to kind of spread out the impact on drivers, and he was very appreciative of that and of the work that the crews were doing. Getting back to the budget just momentarily, we do have our budget season coming up, if you will, in August. We'll have our 3 public hearings. Those will be on August 11th, August 18th, and August 25th. They'll all be here at LC. They'll all be starting at 6 p.m. Those will be the first, second, and third readings of the ordinances that adopt the budget for the year. So those will be important meetings for the public to either attend or listen to. That's all I had.
Okay, thanks, sir. Next up, advisory board and commission appointments. You want to introduce that?
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to make a nomination for Garrett Fry to the Disability Commission.
Okay. Councilor Randall and I met with Garrett Fry, a current member of our Transportation Advisory Commission, and he's looking forward to the challenge of working with the new board. So we had a nice chat with him, and I can back that up 100%. So all those in favor of putting...
Mr. Mayor,
Oh, certainly.
I'd like to recuse myself from the vote. Mr. Fry was a former neighbor of mine. I still own the property next to his house, so I just like to
Okay.
recuse myself.
That's fine. All those in favor of Garrett Fry to the Disabilities Advisory Commission, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That's 5-0 with Pro Tem Johnson abstaining. That also brings up the question that now we will have an extra opening on the Transportation Advisory Commission. So if anybody is interested, please contact Carrie at City Hall. And it's an interesting commission. So, anything else? Work session agenda topics. Would you like to include the Second Amendment
Yes, please.
as a work session topic? Okay. Any other work session and agenda topics? Okay, well, seeing none, we'll go ahead and adjourn this meeting. Thank you, everybody.